60% of searches on Google result in 0 clicks. And you know those 2,000 word blog posts that we thought were bringing in all this SEO traffic? Well, they're not really working so well anymore. There's so much to talk about with local SEO right now. Like, what can we put in a local SEO package? And how much SEO is enough to actually make a difference for a local service business? And is it even realistic for us as web designers to offer SEO to our clients without being a full service agency now? So we're going to talk about what's in, what's out, and what is this thing? What does that have to do with SEO? And also, I've really been enjoying these blue light blocking glasses. But do you feel like the reflections in the lenses are too distracting? I don't have to wear the glasses during the videos, but I do find that at the end of the day, I have less eye fatigue if I wear the glasses, so I really like them. But did you see the report that 60% of Google searches are 0-click searches? That's nuts. So the report came out in 2024. It's probably even worse today than it was then. But that means like 2 out of 3 people, roughly, are going to Google, typing in a search, and then reading the AI-generated answer, and then leaving without ever clicking any links. So on one hand, I'm kind of frustrated by that because like they're getting the answers from the websites that you and I are building, and we're not getting any of the clicks. But I just feel like that's the way things are going. I don't feel like search engines are even search engines anymore. They're more like answer engines or something, because you just type in a question, you get the answer, and then off you go. So just to be clear about what I'm focused on right now, I'm focused on like what can we as web designers do to get local service businesses to show up in those answers, and not just show up, but show up in a way that you actually get clicks and clients from it. So I got to tell you this. So I've got this 12 passenger van. So I got 5 kids. We got a big family. So we got this big van, and I really like the van a lot, but water was running down the inside of the wall every time it rained for about like the past 2 or 3 months. And at first I thought the kids just left the door open. So I was all mad at the kids. Like, why did you leave the door open? Well, it turns out they didn't leave the door open. It turns out the problem was the window seal around one of the side, like the backside windows, wasn't keeping the water out. And so every time it rained, the water would just go down and soak the carpet. And it took us a while to figure out what the problem was. So by this time, the carpet's been soaked a bunch of times. And I'm out there with like towels, and like we have these crystals to try to like soak up all the moisture. But despite our best efforts, it smells like mildew in there now. It's complete. It makes your eyes itch. You get a headache. It's a mess. And so I went onto Google and I searched auto detailing for mildew smell removal. And I got these search results. And I ended up working with the Platinum Plus guy. There's a guy named Mike who owns Platinum Plus. Took the car over there and left it for a week. He did amazing stuff, awesome experience. And it's almost like we have a brand new car now. But I wanted to mention, like, this is a perfect example of how local service businesses are getting clicks and clients from these AI-generated answers. And there's a few things that I think are new and different that make that happen. So I'm going to mention a couple new things, and then we'll get to like a whole list of what you can actually put into a local SEO package, because I think you'll be surprised. It's not really a huge number of line items on the list, but it can make a huge difference. But a few things that I feel like are different: the business description. A lot of people overlook the business description of your Google business profile. A Google business profile has always been really important. And people think, well, what should my primary service category be? And what should my secondary categories be? But sometimes when we get a new client and we do a Google business profile optimization for them, there's nothing in the business description. It's blank. And if it's not blank, it's like meaningless words. It's like it doesn't do anything to tell anyone about what their service areas are, what individual services they offer. It's just nothing. And so I think it's really important to take that business description and talk about the unique stuff that sets your business apart, like Mike in the mildew removal. So figure out, like, if it's a restaurant, put stuff in there about food allergies or gluten-free stuff, or like your gluten-free menu, or like what are the unique things that can set your business apart in terms of what you offer and where you offer it. Stick that in the business description. That's a huge thing. I feel like that's different. A second thing that I think is different and new in terms of the importance are FAQs on your website. And an FAQ on your website is actually like a technical thing. So I build all my websites on WordPress with Beaver Builder, and I've got the Power Pack add-on, and there's an FAQ module in there that you can like drag onto your site and start doing FAQs on your website, and it gets wrapped up in the schema markup so bots realize that these are actual FAQ questions. And I think the sweet spot for like how long should the question be or the answer be, it's about 50 words. Like maybe 40, 50, 60 words, right in that area. So you're not looking for a gigantic, huge blog post like we used to do. Like, in fact, I think that's one of the things that's out. Like I feel like the big 2,000 word, like most comprehensive answer you've ever seen in your life kind of an answer. I just don't feel like that's really helpful anymore, because AI is generating all these answers now. I remember like maybe 5 years ago, maybe not even that long, everybody said, you got to make these great answers, the most information, it's the deepest thing you can ever possibly imagine, that's deeper, better, more informative than anyone else, and that will get you to the top of Google if you write that. And I feel like, especially in the context of local service businesses, that just doesn't work anymore. And I think the new thing is these FAQs, where you like make a list of FAQs that sort of outline the customer journey through your business, like all the different questions people might ask in terms of like getting started, working with you, wrapping things up. Like put FAQs in there, and then those FAQs can be scanned by these bots. Then they show up in there's auto-generated or there's AI-generated answers, and then you start getting clicks from really specific things like that mildew search that I just did. So I feel like those are some of the things that are big and different. So what do you actually put into the package for a local SEO package now? And it's not really a ton of line items, which I think is interesting. So my entry, you can go deep if you need to, but when you're just getting started, like especially me, like I'm not really an SEO expert. In fact, Gabe is the SEO expert at DoubleStack, and he can go super deep. But if you weren't ready for something that deep, I would say just a couple of things that you can charge like $300, $500, like somewhere in that range. Like our sweet spot is $375 per month is kind of our entry level package. And it's just some basic stuff like Google Business Profile Management. And I think there's an emphasis on writing a good business description, like setting up that initial Google profile so that it's fully filled out and that the information is consistent from the profile to the website. I've seen Google Business Profiles go from like, I don't know, not even on the first page of Google Maps to in that local map pack simply by making sure that the name, address, phone number, and hours are the same on the website and the Google Business Profile. So I really put a lot of emphasis on setting that up so it's all consistent. And so that's what I would kind of put under the category of like Google Business Profile Optimization. And then on top of that, I feel like there's a really importance to making sure that there's consistent activity. So like if you just like a weekly post, it doesn't have to be daily, but like it could be a before and after picture. It could be a Q&A. So a Q&A is not the same thing as the FAQs on your website, but you can take the FAQs on your website and then ask them to yourself as a Q&A on your Google Business Profile. And now you've got Q&As as well. So it could be a Q&A post. It could be a product post is another thing. So do you ever feel tempted to just like go and like select all the different service areas, or not service areas, but the different services for your business? Like you have your primary category, you're like, yeah, but I do this and this and this and this. And then you have like this long list of services. That actually dilutes the power of your Google Business Profile. It's much better to have fewer things that you're really good at, like the main things that you do. And that way Google is going to look at you, and even people will look at you as like, those are the things that you're a specialist at. But if you want to increase the breadth of things that you do without having to select a ton of different services, then you can post them as products. Even if it's not like an in-the-box product, you can treat a service as like a productized service and post it on your Google Business Profile as a product. And then you have a little picture, a little like maybe 2-sentence description, and then you can link it back to a page on your website that talks about all the details of whatever the product is. And as you're going through and putting all of that information out there, focus on things that are going to be unique and set you apart. Like if it's a restaurant, you can talk about things like your gluten-free menu or different food allergies. Tons of people search for that stuff. And if your business is showing up saying like, we've got this great gluten-free menu. I mean, we got people in our family that have to be gluten-free, and that's like, that draws us into restaurants all the time. So really emphasizing the things that really stand out about your expertise and the uniqueness of your business. I put that into the Google Business Profile and try to get like a weekly update. Doesn't have to be daily, just weekly. That's one thing that we'll do on the Google Business Profile for like the management thing. The next thing that we'll do is a review acquisition funnel. I use this product called Reviews on my website. I'll put a link in the description. You can try that out if you want to. But it's like, it sets up like a flow. I know when you say a review acquisition funnel, it sounds big and fancy, but I don't know what else to call it. But because it's not just one thing. It's not just like send a link, leave a review. It's like a flow where you send the link. If nobody clicks the link, you can send some reminders. And then they land on a page, and if they had a good experience, they can leave you a review. If they had a bad experience, they don't have to leave you a review yet. They can actually just tell you in a private contact form, so that way they're not just like leaving reviews as if it's your support channel. So it kind of delineates like support from reviews. So that way you end up getting more reviews because you're asking people for the review proactively, but you're also getting higher ratings because you're differentiating between, do you really need support and you want me to help you with something, or would you like to actually leave a review? And that way, like people that actually need support, who might be tempted to leave a bad review to get your attention, can now just tell you what they want. And so that really boosts the quantity and the quality of your reviews. So we throw that in there because not only is that great for social proof, but it's also great for local SEO because it builds up that trust factor. And then we've got a couple other little things that I like to do, like local backlinks is another thing. In fact, if you want to take a look at our whole Local Legends marketing platform, I'm going to put a link at the end of this as well that you can get to, but I'm also going to put a link in the description. It's doublestack.net/local-legends. And we've been putting a huge emphasis on connecting local businesses together. And one of the things that's really powerful about that is you can actually do backlinks from other local businesses all in your area, which is showing that your client is actually connected to the community, which is a surprisingly powerful thing for local SEO. It's much more so because you don't really think about it if it's like national SEO. You wouldn't think that a link from like your local chamber of commerce would make that much difference in a national setting, but in a local setting it makes a huge difference. So check out the Local Legends workshop if you want to learn more a little bit about that. And so then, okay, well, what about pricing? Well, we charge like $375 a month because we're not really doing that much stuff. We're doing like weekly updates, not daily updates. And it's not I don't want it to be so overly expensive that clients can't say yes to it. And I do want to make it like a first step to a value ladder, which we talked about, which I'm going to mention that again in a second. But what does this thing have to do with how to sell SEO? Well, this thing over here, this is a Cellerciser. It's like a mini trampoline, but it's not really a trampoline. It's more like a workout platform that looks like a trampoline because it's got these springs. It's got 36 springs around it, and they're patented springs. It's got like a triple tier effect to the spring. I used to sell these things like, maybe 20 years ago. One of the very first websites I ever built was an e-commerce website, and I was a reseller for Dave Hall is the guy that invented and runs the Cellerciser business. I feel like he's a friend of mine, even though we've never met personally, because I'm in Virginia, he's in Utah. But we had this relationship where I was selling these Cellercisers, and my daughter, she has like scoliosis, and so I said, can she jump on the Cellerciser? And so he like personally calls me, and like I feel like we've talked a couple of times, so I feel like he's my friend because I really like him. But how does that have anything to do with SEO? Well, I don't sell SEO services, and I don't even recommend that anyone sell SEO services as a standalone product because it requires so many other things. In the same way that Dave, like one of the major features of his Cellerciser are these patented springs so that you get this really soft bounce, it's not jarring, and you can get a great workout on it compared to like those tube springs or like the bungee cords or whatever. There's other ways to build these sellers or to build rebounders. But Dave has these special springs. And so if you ask him, like how do you sell 36 springs every time somebody places an order? He'd be like, what are you talking about? I don't sell springs, I sell Cellercisers, but the spring is part of what creates the result. And that's how I sell these SEO services. I wouldn't sell it as like a standalone thing. I wouldn't sell it as a spring. I would sell it as a part of a larger package. Because if you just do the things that we talked about, you begin to realize, hey, I need a website. Because if I don't have a website, how am I supposed to mirror the information between my website and my Google Business Profile? And I need a Google Business Profile because if I didn't have the profile, how am I going to show up in Google Maps? And so they're very intertwined. And then you think, well, now I also have this review acquisition funnel that I'm trying to set up. And how am I supposed to do that if I don't have both a website and a Google Business Profile? But now I have to set up this funnel. And then I have these FAQs I need to be putting on the website. And that's going to be tied into maybe even Q&As on the Google Business Profile. And so like there's all these things that are interlinked in there. And then I'm doing it on an ongoing basis, like a monthly basis. It's not like a set it and forget it sort of thing. And even with all of that, I'm still not saying that SEO is really what's working here. Like I'm doing all of these things because I want to drive traffic. I want to pull leads from the traffic, and I want to actually land clients from those leads. So in addition to all of that stuff that we just talked about that I feel like is a traffic driving engine, on top of that, I'm also setting up lead magnets to capture email addresses and nurturing those clients, like a bunch of other things that's kind of in like the web design package, and SEO is just a part of that. So if you actually want to see all of the details of what actually goes into a web design package, check out this next video and you can see that. And don't forget, if you want to see the Local Legends stuff, that's right here as well. All right, I'll see you in just a minute.